And we are back on the Chosen Baseball journey. This is magical episode number 110 with Karim Garcia, MLB star, Jonathan A. Hacohen, not MLB star. And we're here talking about literally the topic that has been going on since the offseason, since spring training, and that is what is going on with the MLB rookies. Now, Karim, I'm going to tell you, my friend, that you and Steve Carsey back in your days, you guys were at a giant disadvantage, I think. You know, some will say advantage in some ways, but I'll say disadvantage when you were coming up as rookies because you did it in the age with no social media, no smartphones, none of that. You hit your first major league home run. Somebody's going to read about it in a box score the next day in the newspaper. Remember the newspaper that got delivered to our houses?
Yes.
Today, you hit your major league home run. It's going to be on everybody's social media within 3 seconds, and millions of people are watching you. When you come up as a highly touted major league player, people see you on Baseball America. They look at MLB Pipeline. Now with MLB, people know about the rookies the same way in the NFL, NBA, NHL, because back in the day, you know, back in our day, you know, I call it, but back in, you know, the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, the MLB draft was under secrecy, wasn't televised. You didn't know the results. Most people didn't follow any of the prospects. You knew your own city's prospects. And now you have the MLB draft on MLB Network. You have the players in their homes via camera. People have been watching these guys. So you got the Jackson Holidays of this world. Number one draft pick, dad. Matt Holliday, one of the best hitters of all time to watch. Solid human being, solid hitter, solid glove. Loved watching him with the Cards and the Rockies. So he comes from a pipeline. That's his dad. That's his hitting coach for life. He's been studying under his dad. This guy comes to spring training. He can't miss. He's been tearing up spring training. He's hitting 370, more walks than strikeouts. We hate the Orioles. They're so cheap. They're not bringing him up because they want to save on his rookie contract and delay his free agency. Finally, there's no choice. We bring him up. This is going to solve everything. This is going to be adding to the Orioles that are already doing great, and this is going to guarantee their playoff push. And what does he do? It's like he forgot to play the game of baseball. Karim, I have my theories. Let's start with you. What happened with Jackson Holliday? Did the Orioles make a mistake not bringing him up in spring training? Did they make a mistake bringing him up in May? Did they make a mistake bringing him down? Love to hear your thoughts on the subject.
I told you, we talked about this before. I told you when they said, oh, they're going to call him up. They're going to call him up in April. I say, the guy is not ready yet. He needs more plates, more at-bats in the minor leagues, a little more seasoning. And I told you, if they would have bring him in middle of May, by May 15, May 20, even in June or right after the All-Star, it would have been perfect, all right? Because right now, you're putting the pressure on a kid, you know, that goes to the major leagues and always can't miss. Yeah, but everybody's looking at you and he's like, oh my God. I don't think he hit the panic button, but he was nervous. And I understand the first day or the first week, but all of a sudden you get an advice, oh, I can hit these guys. Now you have it on your mind and forget about it. They got to send you down, clear your mind so I can call you back up. And if they're going to call him back up, it's going to be in September. I don't think they're going to call him back up anytime soon right now, unless injury happens.
Well, they called up another one of their top hitting prospects. He's been on the bench for 5 games in a row when he first started off. And I got to ask you from a psychology point of view, because, you know, they say that athletes are supposed to block all of this out. You're supposed to be strong in that. You go back to riding the bus in the minors, it's got to be weighing on him every single day. What went wrong? What went wrong? What went wrong? And I wouldn't be shocked if he slumps in the minors at the beginning till he gets his feet wet again. But when he gets called back up, I don't think he's going to forget what happened the first call up. I agree with you. I think that they should have delayed it a bit. And it was either the way he was hitting, you either bring him up straight from spring training. You chose not to do that. That's okay. There was no reason to bring him now. There was no particular injuries. There's no particular reason. Yeah, he was hitting well. But Karim, I sent you the box scores. 6 guys had OPSs of 1.2 over there in Norfolk. So guess what? Everybody's hitting well. Everybody's hitting 400. Everybody's hitting home runs. So it wasn't just him. He wasn't even the strongest hitter on his own team. So walk us through when a Jackson Holliday walks back into his clubhouse at AAA. How do the players receive him? How does he feel about? How do you get your footing back when you get sent back down and it didn't go so well the first time in the majors?
The guys are gonna come and give him a big hug and start talking to him. Hey, how's the experience? Because a lot of guys they never been in the major leagues, and for him going to the major leagues and now going back down, it's a really neat experience for him. Something that he can talk to his teammates, telling what to expect, and that's how I learned. Talking to other guys, when I never made it to the big leagues, before 19, and I saw guys that play in the major leagues. I was, hey, how's it playing in the major leagues? It's a lot different, or what are you looking for, or how you have to act, or anything on the bus, on the field. So you always ask those questions to the guys, to the veteran guys. I always did that before I made it to the major leagues. And now that you go back down, you have to realize that you're going to have to put up even better numbers so you can get back up there. And unfortunately, like I say, it's not going to be in the next month or two. It's going to be probably all the way to September. They're going to let him play the year in AAA, get his feet back, normal with, thinking he's thinking straight again. You know, the first few days is going to probably struggle a little bit, but after that, and nowadays, the teams have psychologists. You can go back over there to the room and talk to the guy and tell him exactly how you feel and try to fix your head. Because your swing, you have your hitting coach over there. And I gotta believe that the AAA hitting coach did talk to the Major League hitting coach and tell him what to look for on Holiday and what was his holes to work on. So, I mean, he's going to go back and work in the same things he was working before.
But the MLB hitting coach will stay in contact with the AAA hitting coach, presumably,
Yes,
on
I
Holiday.
gotta believe so. I gotta believe that they gotta talk and have a plan because this guy is not a guy is not gonna come back. He's a number one prospect. So they're gonna put attention. I'm gonna try to do everything they can to put him to get him right. But it won't be in the next month or two. They're gonna, to me, I think this is just my personal opinion. If you're gonna call him back in September. Let the whole month of September play out, whatever it is. If Baltimore is still on the hunt or they're, for playoff, he might not even get in at bats. Enough at bats because they're fighting for something.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have a pretty can't miss prospect who's become blossomed into one of the great MLB players right now, Gunnar Henderson, right?
Yep.
How much do you think it was? Because Gunnar Henderson's back at his natural position, but I believe they moved him originally to third, then back to short. All of a sudden, he blossomed again. Mr. Holiday, used to being a shortstop, moved him to second base this year, learning a new position. How much do you think that played into the struggles? Because he did very well with it in AAA versus, let's say, in a hypothetical world, let's say he's a shortstop his whole life, has a great spring training, stays a shortstop. If he had come up to the MLB as a shortstop in his natural position, how much easier would that have been on him?
I think it's a lot easier for him because, it's, like you mentioned, it's a natural position. Now going to second base, you get different angles on the balls. Okay, so you're fielding on a different side, shorter throws, quicker, double plays, everything else. So he's learning the position, is trying to adjust to the new position, and from shortstop, I think they see the angles are easier for him. You see that the first baseman straight ahead, even there is a longer throw, but it's an easier throw than from second base. I think a lot of guys have struggled in second base. They cannot throw the ball from second to the first baseman. Shagnabaluk was one of them.
Well, but Mookie Betts, he could be center field one day. Guess what, Mookie? We need you now at shortstop. Now we need you at second base. We need you back at shortstop. And he's hitting 400 all the time. But that's a pretty special case, isn't it? Like Mookie can play
Yes.
anywhere on the field and he could be an all-star at any position. Even, Xander Bogaerts, going from shortstop, second base, and his struggles with the bat. I don't know how many of the players go through this, but it feels, Kareem, at the end of the day, especially the middle infielders, you mess around with their position between third base, shortstop, second base, and they're a different player altogether, seemingly like overnight. And you're struggling to deal with the defensive position, plus you have to keep up with your hitting responsibilities. That's where in some ways I think it's easier to be a DH if you can. Like I look at Vladdy Guerrero over in Toronto, was a third
Mhm.
baseman, then a first baseman, won a gold glove. Don't know how accurate the metrics were on how they figured that one out. I think they just had to give him an award basically. But I look at Vladdy over there and I look even at Bo Bichette sometimes and I'm thinking they got to shift their position or just put these guys at DH sometimes. It's just that frustrating.
Yeah, I seen Vladdy playing over there at first base, and he looks a little awkward sometimes in there, especially when they throw the ball on one bounce. He just throws the glove. I mean, he's not trying to actually see the ball coming into the glove. He's just, it's all or nothing. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, it's funny to see him, to tell you the truth, but he's a good athlete. I mean,
But coming to the rookies part, I'm going to bring up Jackson Chourio in a minute, but I'm going to bring it back now because another guy, a failed member of my fantasy baseball team this year for, I think we had him for 3 games, Jordan Walker of the Cardinals. So this was a can't miss prospect. Last year in 2023, everybody said, this is the guy. This is going to be the best player in baseball. You watch him. Well, bounced back and forth between the minors. Didn't go so well for him. Came to spring training this year, Kareem. Not the best spring training on the planet. Got made opening day with the Cards, lasted almost 3 weeks. Just got sent down to the minors not that long ago. If I'm Jordan Walker and I'm looking at my stats, I'm barely hitting home runs. I'm barely walking. I'm striking out a ton. I think almost half the at bats, if I'm not mistaken. And this is my second year in a row right now. His confidence has to be pretty low, I would guess.
very low. Very low. Is one of those guys putting pressure on himself right now, thinking, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not hitting anymore? And that's when you have to actually relax and you have to be selective, but you need your coach to come and sit down with you and have a talk in between at bats so you can make that guy relax because he's not going to do it or find it by himself. He's going to need help from his coaches. When you go over there and talk to him, hey, what are you looking for? Oh, hey, let's have a plan against this pitcher today. How about don't swing at the first pitch until he throws a strike, just to see what happens. You know, playing game minds with the player to try to get him right or try to get him out of the funk that he's on. Because if you leave him the way he is, he's going to struggle. I mean, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you can tell him, you can bring him to the cage, you can bring him anywhere, and it's something has to click on your head for you to change to start getting better at pitching or hitting, regardless of what it is.
I once heard a great quote from an instructor, and I can't recall who it is now, but he sat down with one of his rookie hitters. And what did he do? He showed him tape from AAA. And he said, look at what you're doing here. Look at how patient you were. Look at how you followed through. The game hasn't changed. Yes, the pitchers throw harder and they throw smarter, but you're trying to play differently now. Play your game. The game that played for you in AAA, just try to bring that game forward and try to remember who you were. And this is where I'm seeing a Jordan Walker, for example. If there's gonna be one more season of this, like if he was in the NFL, he'd already be out of the team. If he was a highly drafted quarterback with 2 seasons like this, he's Justin Fields, he's gone. The Tampa Bay Rays grab Jordan Walker next year. You know what's gonna happen? He's gonna be an all-star. He's gonna go to a different city, no pressure. Hitting coach is gonna say one or two things to him. Boom. Remember they did that with a guy by the name of Randy Rosarena?
Yes, I remember very well.
Now, Randy Rosarena spent 3 days on my fantasy team, maybe four. I had no choice but to dump him because I have an outfield already of Fernando Tatis, Aaron Judge. I'm pretty stacked. I got Schwarber. I got Mike Trout. There's no room for Rosarena. I'm sorry, Randy. I love you. I love him. I love, but when you have, he's not going to supplement Judge or Tatis. That's just not going to happen. But I read
Definitely not.
it. I read an interesting quote of why a Rosarena is struggling. You've seen his struggles, I presume.
Mm. I have seen him a little bit, yes.
Very bad.
But yes,
Do you know why
yes,
he's
I
struggling?
seen him.
Do you know why he's struggling?
Why?
You're gonna love this one. I love to hear your views as a hitter of whether what's your take on this. So Rosarena, my understanding is like this. He's always been a pull hitter. So always worked for him. He's been a great pull hitter. He came to spring training and said, I'm going to hit the other way. I'm going to be a complete hitter this year. I'm going to hit to all fields and I'll be the most complete hitter. And this is going to take my game to the next level. Well, it's taken his game to a 120 batting average and 2 home runs in April. And the hitting coach said, you know what, Randy? What got you here up till now? Maybe you accept in life that you're a pull hitter and that's good enough. Have you seen guys like that pull to one direction and then try to spray to all fields and doesn't work for them and they got to go back?
I've seen guys all the time trying to reinvent themselves, trying to different stance and different swings. Cal Ripken was one of them. Every year he will change his stance, but he will hit 300. I mean, it worked for him. For some other guys, you're just dead pull hitter, and now he's trying to hit the ball the other way, and he's not reacting the pitches he was killing before inside, the fastball, the curveballs, whatever he was coming middle in for him was his natural reaction to hit the ball, hit a home run, hit a double. Now he's trying to shoot it the other way, and it's impossible to do that.
So the other Jackson I was mentioning, Jackson Chourio. We talked about Jackson Holliday, Jackson
Mm-hmm.
Chourio, and everybody's so excited. I had my doubts about him. Signed his big monster contract, and everybody said can't miss, and people said he's gonna probably start in the minors at the beginning. But the Brewers gave in to temptation. They had to have him on the opening day roster. He had a couple of nice home runs, made a few nice defensive plays, got a lot of media attention. Karim, I'm seeing a 202, 220 hitter with many strikeouts, not a lot of home runs, and a guy losing confidence really quickly. Did the Brewers make a mistake with him?
Yes, he did. Like I say again, some of these guys they need their at bats in the minor leagues. Only a few guys go from college or high school all the way to the major leagues and have a great career. A lot of those guys need to get their rounds, get their strengths back in the minor leagues. It's a learning process like anything else. You don't throw a boxer that's just learning and has 3 or 4 fights against a champion. He's going to get destroyed. So same thing with the hitters. The pitchers, they mature quicker than the hitters. We know that. But the hitters, we need our time. We need a year and a half, 2 years of minor league, building the confidence, putting the numbers, getting your boss rise and everything else so you can, relax a little bit because they throw you right to the game of the major leagues without any experience. And I mean, it's not working out and they're looking at it right now. So only a few guys can do that.
Well, two of those guys are on the Texas Rangers. And I got to say, if you want to look up rookie hitters and understand how to rush rookie hitters up to the majors and why, to me, it's the Texas Rangers. You got Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, and Carter starting to hit home runs. I think it was up to 5 or 6 last time I looked. Beautiful swing. When you're hitting like that, it's September in the playoffs, in the World Series, and you can do it under that kind of pressure. They're not setting you down in April. They're going to give you a lot of rope, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because you already show them what you can do on a situation or a different stage, which are the playoffs. In this case, if you do it during the playoff, you do it for the World Series, I mean, you can have a bad month. April is only the first month out of the 6. So you can have a bad April and have the rest of the year great. So, I mean, your first 100 at bats pretty much are for you to get your feet back in the season. And then after that, now you start making adjustments.
Well, Wyatt Langford had a little bit of a harder adjustment. He had such a good spring training that they had to have him on the opening day roster. Did not hit a home run for most of the month. First home run inside the park home run, so didn't even hit it out of the park. But interesting enough, every game he's still doing something. He's stealing bases. He's walking. He had an on base percentage at one point of close to 350. Even with a low average, it was still a 350 on base percentage, still scoring a ton of runs in that offense. My feeling is the home runs are going to come, but looking at his swing, he has such a beautiful swing. He has that beautiful Palmero, Will Clark style smooth swing, smooth stance. As opposed to Giancarlo Stanton, Langford looks like he's been in the league for 20 years and he knows what he's doing. When you're playing that small ball and you're doing a little bit in the score sheet every single day, I think you're staying up in the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, if you get in on base one way or the other, that could be a walk, hit by a pitch, line drive, base hit, error, anything, but you just get on base, you're gonna find yourself playing every single day. But if you don't get on base, only because Stanton has a big contract, any other person it would have been either in the minors, fire, or in the bench. So I mean, you have to unfortunately put him to play because of the contract.
The guy who's really exciting me, who's really impressed me this year, is Anthony Volpe on the Yankees. And watching what he's been doing, and he was batting lower in the order for most of the season. Finally, they promoted him to leadoff spot. I hate to say it, but I think we got the second coming of Derek Jeter out there. He's got the confidence. He's a nice kid. The teammates love him. He knows how to steal a base. He knows how to hit a double. He can get a home run. He scores runs. He does all those little things. Generally, he rarely ever strikes out. There's generally something going on the score sheet. I think the Yankees realize they have something magical here. And ever since they put him in the leadoff spot, even when he's not hitting at his best, they're winning ball games. So I think having the confidence of a strong leadoff hitter with Soto behind you, that's got to boost his confidence big time.
Oh, absolutely, because Soto is going to make you work. Soto is not the guy that goes over there and swings at the first pitch. He's always working the count. He's always doing something, and that's something for Volpe to actually look at him and see what is Soto doing, and he's trying to do the same thing now. Trying to get on base, trying to get a walk, somehow getting for the guys behind you to drive you in. And like you say, it's a very exciting guy to watch. But a guy that I've been watching that I love watching, to tell you the truth, Ellie De La Cruz, Cincinnati. I mean, that guy has a cannon for an arm. He's so fast. He's got power. He has everything.
I would say from all the players in MLB right now, the most complete player, every single tool imaginable, he's at the top of my charts. He is the most complete player going right now, by far.
Yes, to me too. I mean, I just see him throwing the ball from the hole in shortstop like a cannon, 100 miles he threw the other day, and then inside the park home run, and then 460 feet home run. I mean, he can do everything. Not only that, he's stealing bases like crazy. Still second and third like nothing.
They really miss Matt McLean. Matt McLean was really great for them last year. He was really solid. He put together a really nice season. He was kind of the glue in the lineup. India has been okay for them, but you lose a player that you were counting on, plus they lost a player to suspension, which we talked about before. And you start losing a little bit of these guys, it starts to wear on you a bit. And but De La Cruz, you know what? The sky's the limit. To me, he's like in the Soto category. This guy will be able to get a contract in any amount of money that he wants. The
Yes.
guy I mentioned in a previous episode, Andy Pajes on the Dodgers. I want
Mhm.
to ask you because we're mentioning about that you don't walk off the island, you hit off the island, and the Cuban baseball player, great bat. The home runs he hits, I don't know if you watch this, but every time he hits a home run, he has to hold on to his batting helmet because he has such a ferocious swing. The helmet goes flying off of his head. But in the minor leagues, like in AAA this year, he had almost a 1-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio. Comes to the majors, hits 280, is hitting power. Why do the walks all of a sudden start to dry up for these? When a power hitter can take walks in the minors, why do they come to the majors and forget how to walk?
Because they want you to make contact. They want you to be on base, and then you put the pressure on yourself, and instead of being patient and trying to do the same thing that you were doing in the minors, now you try to do something different with a new team in the majors, and that's when you get into your little struggles.
Would you rather have a 320 hitter with a 340 OBP or a hitter that hits 250 with a 400 OBP?
Oh, the 240, of
Right?
course. Yes.
Because sometimes I'm watching players and I think to myself, you're hitting 320 and you have a 340 OBP. Like you could not take a walk like watching Bo Bichette out there. And I'm thinking if this person knew just take a couple of walks, they could take their game to the next level. Because if you stop hitting 320, a 240 average with a 260 OBP, you better be hitting 40 plus bombs out there. Like it's almost that ratio. And I think Paz, maybe it's also because where they position him in the lineup, look at that lineup. I mean, look, just Teoscar Hernandez is your number 6 hitter. Like it's so unfair. You look at Will Smith as your cleanup hitter, and he's hitting close to 400. You look at that Dodgers murderer row, with Betts, and then you got Otani, and then you got Freeman, and you got Smith, and you got Muncy, and Teoscar, and Pajes is your like number 7, number 8 hitter. Like this is literally unfair. If this team had decent starting pitching, I think they'd be unstoppable.
Yes. I mean, Dodgers got an absolutely great hitting team, and all those guys at the same time, they're clicking right now, which is good for them. But again, we're in April. So let's see if they continue to do this in September and in October, because you see what happened to the Dodgers before. Now you have Otani because you're trying to win a championship, not a short one because they won on COVID. But I mean, that's a short one. Talking about the 162 game, the big one with the 19 games for the playoff. Now we'll see. I mean, see if they continue to do so. I mean, I hope so. I wish them the best. They got a great team. But like you say, you need pitching, not only the hitters. And you win games with pitching. You win World Series with pitching.
Glasnow went on record saying that he doesn't care about injuries. It's all about velocity. And this is, I think, why he gets the injuries that he gets at the end of the day. It's pretty scary out there. But Mookie Betts, you have to watch Mookie Betts live. Honestly, folks, if you're a baseball fan and you've never had a chance to go and watch the Dodgers in person, go and do it. Mookie Betts, in my estimation, Kareem, you may hate me for this. I think he's one of the most underrated baseball players. People think he's overrated. I think he's underrated. What this guy's able to do, plus position changes, he'll hit anywhere you want him in a lineup, do whatever you want. I think he's one of the smartest baseball players out there. Like, the guy's literally unstoppable right now. And all I think to myself is, how did the Red Sox let this guy go? How did they manage this? Because he's short? Because he's not 6'7"? Ridiculous.
Yes. Because I think they didn't want to pay him. The Dodgers did. The Dodgers saw the potential. And, you see exactly. They paid him and they paid him well. But the guy has showed that he's worth every single penny that they give him. Like you mentioned, I mean, he plays every different position that you ask him for. He's a great athlete. He plays, baseball with such a passion. He plays aggressive. He's smart. He has power. So, I mean, what else can you ask for this guy?
Another guy who's very, very smart, passionate player, Shoto Imanaga on the Cubs. Like, I always mispronounce his first name and last name. But Imanaga, he's so brilliant. He wrote in Japan a book on pitching for young kids. So
Wow.
pretty impressive. They left a copy for the GM of the Cubs, and he said, I can't read it because I can't speak Japanese. Imanaga, you can see he's analyzing all the time at bats and when there's a home run or a hit. But this guy has been literally unstoppable. Yes, I drafted him on both of my fantasy teams, loving my life with him. The guy has been, it was so much magic to watch him in the WBC. He's one of those guys that actually translated perfectly. He came to spring training. Kareem did not have the greatest spring training on the planet. The second the season hit, he took it to the next gear. Been a beautiful pitcher out there for them. He comes with a lot of experience. Congratulate the Cubs. I think, they only have so much money to spend. He was a much better signing than Stroman, which I don't disagree with. I mean, Stroman's a good guy to be number 3, number 4, but Imanaga is pitching like an ace right now. You're going to tell me that we're going to go into year 2 with Imanaga. We may have to be worried about his arm.
I don't think so. I mean, the guy, if
Because he's a
it's in
lefty?
Japan, no, because in Japan they overwork him. Okay, so now back in this year it might not be the problem, but next year it will be because in Japan and in Korea they overwork these guys. They start working out since January, like I mentioned before. Now with the major leagues, this more relaxed type of environment for him and the workouts. He's adjusting well, like you mentioned it. This is the year for him that is going to show exactly what he can do. But remember what I say, next year he might get hurt. Why? Because he's not working as hard as he was before in Japan, as he's working in the States on a more easier um, way to do things. And you'll see. That same thing happened to Otani too. First year great, second year hurts his arm. and now it's twice. Now he hurt again.
Cody Senga got stronger as the year went along in his first year in MLB. Looked like that ace that, the Mets fans felt last year about Senga the way fans feel right now about Imanaga. And I hope he does well. I hope he doesn't, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in year two, certainly. The last rookies I want to touch upon is Jared Jones on the Pirates. Was for the most part been unstoppable. He's been this ace pitcher for them. And they have Paul Skenes, who's been lights out in the minors, but they keep him on a pitch count. They will not say when they're going to call him up. I watch both of these guys and I just think to myself, two things. Number one, you better get them together soon if you want to try to have a window to compete. Are they going to stay in Pittsburgh long term, or are they going to have to trade them for budgetary concerns? And when are they going to have arm problems?
They're gonna have him for the least first 3 years. After that, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, I don't think Pittsburgh is gonna have the money to pay him. The big contracts that these guys are not gonna command. Or you sign him right now to a big deal for 7, 8, 9 years. You know, and then if you need money or you need other players, you can always trade him and get something in return. But I mean, being honest, and the way that Pittsburgh has been all the time, I think they're gonna just last 3 years tops. And they should get him together right now.
Especially when you see Jackson Chourio signing a contract like he did and didn't even play one inning yet in MLB. These guys, once they come up and they start pitching like this, they're gonna want Garrett Cole money like down the road. It's funny if they're gonna bet on themselves. So I hope for Pittsburgh fans they get to enjoy these guys when they can. But everybody's waiting for Skeens' call up. When you're in the minors and you're striking out two batters per inning and you're completely lights out, unstoppable, that doesn't mean it's going to translate to the MLB game, correct?
That is correct, but he's on the right path. And they know what he can do. I mean, he's a great pitcher. And I think they're doing the right thing by keeping him in the minors and calling him up, like I mentioned before, middle of May. I think that's when they're going to call him. The first 10 day of May, they probably call him up. That's what I'm guessing right now. So, which is what? A few more days. So I'm talking about 10, 15 more days. You check it up for two more pitching over there in the minor leagues, two more outings, and that's it.
People may hate me for saying this, but for Skeens also, he's a bit of a celebrity because his girlfriend in college is one of the top gymnasts in the US and in the world. She has a ton of media attention. She's very popular on Instagram, which means he gets very popular on Instagram. So he's getting double the attention, not just for what he's doing on the field, for what he's doing off the field. And sometimes, Kareem, correct me if I'm wrong, when you become that instant celebrity and that can't miss, sometimes it's not always the best recipe for success on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you can get lost. You can get lost and think you are the greatest athlete in the world, and all of a sudden they start hitting you. So like, oh, what's happened? Because you're not putting attention to your job. I mean, it's good that people recognize you and knows who you are and knows who your girlfriend is and everything else. But you always have to respect the game, because the game will humble you in a lot of ways that you don't even know.
I had somebody once say that I remember it was a very famous Hollywood actor, and he said, the best couples that have worked out is not when it's two celebrities. You need to have one celebrity, one not celebrity. It makes life a lot easier. When you get double the pressure from all ends as two celebrities, no matter what your career is, if you're an athlete, if you're an actress, if it's a musician, it's a lot of pressure when the cameras are on you 24/7 and you're going to all sorts of galas and award ceremonies and you're an Instagram star and you haven't even pitched one inning yet in MLB. So I hope I'm wrong for Paul Skeens, but what I'm going to tell him is maybe it won't be the worst thing if you ignore social media a little bit and don't worry about that. Just worry about what's on the field.
Absolutely. That's probably the greatest thing you can tell.
Well, we'll see. We will see him at some point this year. Mark my words, as long as he stays healthy. And guaranteed by the time we tape the next episode, there'll be at least another two or three Tommy Johns on the way. So that's been the nature of the 2024 season. Kareem, appreciate you sharing your insights as always. And we cover off so many different topics over the last few weeks. And as we're hitting now the month of May and June, slowly we're going to start coming to the All-Star game. I leave you with one final piece of news, which I think you're going to be very happy with. I'm going to make my way to Cleveland for the first time. I'm slowly making my way through all the major league stadiums. I'm finally going to get to see the Guardians live. They're going to be facing the Orioles because I'm going to go watch SummerSlam WWE in August. And the Guardians are in town. So I get to combine both of my loves. I'm going to get to watch a WWE pay-per-view together with MLB baseball in Cleveland.
Very nice. Congratulations, and I hope you enjoy your way over there in Cleveland. It's a beautiful city.
Beautiful stadium, lots to do over there. So
Yes,
we have still have some time. I will report back from there, but I know that's one of your favorite cities. And you said that if you were going to go in the Hall of Fame, you'd probably be wearing an Indians Guardians jersey.
absolutely.
On that tone, this is the Chosen Baseball Journey. We'll see you all back real soon.